I just put up in that motherfucking
interview I heard between 777 and Stanley. So I figured I would do a live review of it. I think if I'm right, it'll highlight some of the points that I've been making about Stanley. If I'm wrong, then I'll stand corrected. Let's get right into it, guys.
Inspired you as far as for your career? A lot of people don't know this. You had a wonderful career in the military.
Well,
What is
it wasn't like 20 years. I only did 5. So I've done other things.
sure? What inspired you to join?
Funny enough, I was actually did Army ROTC. I had an Army ROTC scholarship in college,
Hmm.
and I just, in the end, really, the Army did not suit my personality. Um, I've always been kind of an off the cuff kind of guy. And the Navy, what inspired me to join the Navy is I had a cousin who unfortunately is my age or was my age.
Hmm.
He died like a couple weeks ago, um, had
Sorry to hear that.
pancreatic cancer, but he was an aviator. And I went to his commissioning. He went to AOCS,
Mhm.
Aviation Officer Candidate School, and I went to his commissioning, and he kind of talked me into it. I was like kind of soured on the military,
Mm.
but the Navy, for some reason or another, just suited. It was a fit. I'll just put it that way. So
Okay.
that's why I did the Navy.
Okay.
Now, when you consider that, he said it was a fit, but he only served 5 years. We've seen people on this channel that served 20 years. So I think 777 at this point would get into what did he do after this? Since he left the Navy fairly early, only served one term. What did he do after that?
What was your greatest strength? And we'll stick to for your career. You said you only did 5 years in the
Mhm.
Navy, correct?
I solve problems.
As
That's
far as your
literally
other career?
my greatest strength. I can figure stuff out. Be it
Okay.
a crossword puzzle or I
Okay.
solve problems. That's um,
A problem
I don't
solver.
know.
Problem
Yeah, it's
solver.
always been my strength.
Very analytical, always looking
Right.
to find answers for any type of issue.
And quickly. My specialty is like when the shit hits the fan,
Yeah.
I figure out how to wipe it off.
Okay. Okay. Um,
Now, this to me, this was kind of a setup question by 777. He's more or less setting him up, saying, hey, if you solve problems, okay, well, tell us about a problem you solved. And I think you're going to see him kind of hit the wall here.
okay. All right. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get to what is your biggest professional weakness now? A lot of very strong.
Impatience. I do not have patience. It's really weird, and it's always been this way. I remember teaching my little brother math.
Hmm.
It resulted in tears.
Hmm.
I'll tell you once, twice, maybe 3 times, and
Hmm.
I will literally wonder whether you're retarded.
So
Um,
you have a hard
you know
time dealing with people that don't listen.
No, I have I've I expect you to get it, especially if it's a simple concept. Now, I know, children don't always, um, I I've worked on it over the years, but no, I'm impatient.
Now, one of the things you notice here is he asked him about a professional accomplishment, and Stanley immediately went to children. That's rather interesting. Um, Children typically aren't in your professional environment unless you're a school teacher or babysitter.
I expect things to happen.
Fast.
Not necessarily faster than they should, but efficiently at a minimum.
Describe describe excellent. I don't think that's really a weakness. I think that's a strength also. But yeah, I could see
No,
how that.
it can be a weakness.
I
Not
could s-
everybody works at the same pace. Not everybody gets it the first time. It actually can be a weakness. People will get pissed off, especially if you have a pithy comment as to
Right.
why they're slow.
I could see that. Describe a challenging project or role you've worked on, whether that's something in your personal life that was challenging to you, maybe on the workplace.
Uh, Probably I and I kind of hate to harp on it, but making sure my son stayed motivated to be where he is right now. I was scared. After my wife died, I literally was scared. I did not know if I could do it.
Okay.
And the longer, the more comfortable I got, it was scary because it
So
was just it was a
fatherhood,
challenge.
would you say
Mhm.
fatherhood is the challenging project you're addressing?
It was after my wife died, single parenthood.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
all of a sudden, I've got an 8-year-old that I've got to go from.
So at this point, he's about 50 years old when he's reached his most challenging point in his life. His child was 8. He had a child at 41, I think he goes on to mention. And it was at this point, fairly late in his life, one might say, that he reached his most challenging point here.
8 to 19 now he is, and I need to make sure.
Right.
It's a lot easier when you have a wife. Two parents are better than one.
Yeah,
So
easier. You got an extra set of hands you that can do
so
stuff.
it's like you can't. There's no room for. Um,
Mistakes.
well, there's no room for. Hey, I need to take a day off.
There is no days off.
I mean, there's no difference between what Stanley is saying and what JP says. JP just doesn't work, but he has to take care of 2 or 3 children. There's no days off for him. He has full custody of his children. But he fought for the custody of his children. Stanley's wife died. Slight difference there.
Correct.
Right.
Even when you're
Especially,
sick.
you
Even
can't
when you're
trade off. You can't go, hey, you take him while I take a nap.
hmm
Um, so, it was a challenge. And I honestly, at the very beginning, I was scared.
100%. Yeah. I think it's still something to be scared about. Yeah. No matter if they're 8, 18, or 80.
Nah, he's 19 now. I'm parent emeritus.
He's on his
I
own. He's on his
I
own
I
now.
will advise, I will not parent.
Okay. I think you did a great job. Um, Very tough to raise a
No,
child.
he's a
I mean,
good kid. So he made it,
congratulations.
easier than it could have been.
I think you did a great job and congratulations.
Thank you.
How do you handle creative differences on your either your life, a project at work, or something in the workplace previously? You're a man of a certain age. I assume you're not still working, obviously, right? Maybe you are.
No, I'm retired.
Okay. How
Uh,
did you handle creative differences on a issue or a project?
I
Did
don't
you get
to be
basically? Did
honest,
you get
I'm not
into it?
sure I've ever.
Did you get into it with people in
Usually
the workplace?
usually you just kind of go, "Hey, whoever the decider is, the leader of the team,
hmm
here's my idea,
hmm
compared with the other idea, you make um the choice."
So you were able to give up power too.
What he's saying here is he's never been in a position where he had to make the decision. He just throw his idea in the pile and let someone else make the decision. That's not necessarily the question 777 asked him, but nevertheless.
For the better of the project, right?
Unless I'm leading it.
Okay. What's the best piece of professional advice you've ever received from either a supervisor, boss, whatever you want to call it, higher up in the ranking, best piece of professional advice you've ever received?
Don't expect too much from a $10 an hour associate.
Wow. That's,
They're
yeah,
$10 an hour associates.
right. Yeah.
And you know, I was fresh out of the Navy
Mhm.
in civilian management,
Mhm.
and that was literally like, you know, your my boss's boss. I was in his office one day, and you know, people were getting a little irritated.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, literally, what do you expect from a $10 an hour associate? You know, they're
Right.
not going to give this. This isn't the Navy. You know, they're not obligated. They're obligated to $10 an hour, and you know, they're 8 hours.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, that would
some
make a lot
will
of
go the extra mile, some will not.
yeah, that would make a lot of sense. I mean, why listen to
And
somebody?
it's literally to this day. This is like 30 years ago. I'm 60,
Yeah.
probably 30, maybe 29, 28.
And so there's an interesting point. So since the Navy, 30 years in, and he says the best advice you've been given was 30 years ago. And that advice was don't expect much out of a $10 an hour associate. This was been early on in his career. Nothing offered after that.
Years ago, and it
Yeah.
sticks with me today. Just, you know, don't
Right.
expect too much from, you know, um, but then the other thing is, and it wasn't advice to me, it was a boss telling someone else, hey, you're salaried, you can do more than 8 hours. You know, basically, you know, perform to your pay grade.
Mhm. How has the industry changed since you started back then? Maybe you want to talk about maybe the Navy, maybe you want to talk about something in your professional workplace, that you did after the Navy. How has whatever industry you want to talk about changed
Hmm.
since, you were a young
Yeah.
man?
Tell us.
Um,
Maybe the Navy, maybe something
I
personal.
think the interesting thing is in the civilian world. Used to be people would work 30 years at a job and get the gold watch.
Hmm.
Um, it went basically over my work span, from, you know, 30 years defined benefit plan type retirement to, you know, people don't work. Sometimes you actually have to change jobs to get a promotion. So people just work in multiple jobs. Um, I think also, um, I think that's the biggest change. You don't get the gold watch. I also think what's changed is like Google type jobs, you know, where, you know, I've never been on.
Now, this is a man that worked in logistics after the Navy. Logistics have been transformed radically by technology. Just in time probably didn't exist when he first came out of the Navy, and now all kind of just in time inventory methods have been put into place. And he didn't mention that. So apparently he hasn't kept up with the industry after he left the industry. And the defined benefit versus defined contribution, that's more or less a payment thing. That didn't affect the industry. It affect your payment, your compensation. Very interesting there.
Google's campus, but I've heard about it. You know,
Mhm.
they will have like, you know, gourmet meals and lectures. It's almost like a college campus to keep people
Mhm.
at work longer, keep them motivated to work. Um, you know, back when I first started working, there was nothing like Google where, you know, you had like, you know, a big campus with, you know, world class restaurants and ping pong tables and so
Yeah.
Again, He's talking about maybe work environments. Okay, I give you that. But he's not talking about how the industry has changed. Again, the logistics industry has changed drastically, and I'm surprised that he didn't mention any of the changes in logistics.
What when you were growing up and you were gonna be, when we go back to little Stanley growing up, I'm gonna be a firefighter, I'm gonna be a doctor, I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna be that. Um, what did you hope to achieve at the end of your career? Did you want that, like you just mentioned? Did you want the gold watch for 30 years of service? Did you want a plaque? Did
Now,
you?
I wanted to be a physician. I wanted to be a doctor, and it was kind of funny.
Mm,
About my probably sophomore year,
mm,
um, I got into chemistry because there was Sister Johanna, who was my junior year homeroom teacher and chemistry teacher, and she just got me kind of hooked on it.
mm,
It's funny because I went to a high school where math and science were it.
mm,
Like, it was math, science, and it was heavy that way. Shit, we had like 5 people out of 96, a graduating class of 96, go to service academies. I mean, we
okay.
were we were kind of we were kind of on the ball. In my sophomore year of college, I discovered people. And just decided, you know what? I'm not number one. I'm not sure I want to do a life in a lab.
Mm-hmm.
And I discovered people, but I also just like, you know what? I don't know that I like people that much. It just changed. Because I was kind of cursed with being good at a lot of things. I've always
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of disparate interests,
Mm-hmm.
eclecticism. I have kind of an inbuilt eclecticism, and it was
This would have been a good time for 777 to say, well, what are some of those interests?
a blessing and a curse. So,
Okay. What role? You know what? Hang on a second. What role or project? Um, what role? No, I think you did say that already. I think you said fatherhood basically, but this is really work related. This is personal and lifestyle questions. But what role or project are you really most proud of? Would you say there was something that you did? We don't have to get into what you did in the military, but was there something that you said, "Hell yeah, fucking, we just
no,
bombed
it was
the hell out of
it was actually just family life.
this"?
I got married late in life, later in life.
Right, that means he was married at, I think, 41, something like that, 40. And so he says, up until that point, there were no accomplishments. There were none. I rolled it back a little bit. Was it 18 minutes, 13 seconds? See if we can roll it back a few seconds.
I was 41 when my son was born, and the one thing that I did learn, because maybe up until
Run it back a few minutes here.
job sort of people, like
Mm-hmm.
my job defines me.
Right.
Run it back a little bit more. Where was he? I guess here.
Got married late in life, later in life. I was 41 when my son was born, and the one thing that I did learn, because maybe up until my mid 30s,
Mm-hmm.
I was one of these "I am my job" sort of people. Like
Mm-hmm.
my job defines me.
Right.
Giddy had no accomplishments to speak of. Interesting.
I
And
hate
after
those
I got
people.
married
I
and
think we all do that.
my son was born, it was almost the opposite.
It was
I
your
I
family, man,
I
right?
worked to live.
Don't we all
Your
do that?
family was everything.
Yeah,
I
it
respect that.
the Catholicism kicked in.
Now, to those like HB2N who don't understand what Catholicism is, can you please define Catholicism?
Well,
A lot of people don't know HB dropped out of school in the fourth grade.
that's not what I heard. I went first through 12th Catholic school, so I'm a cradle Catholic. My mother was a cradle Catholic, which is kind of rare,
Mm.
in the Black community. My father converted after he met my mother, got married.
Right.
I went to the I think the oldest Black Catholic parish in America,
Mhm.
Clarence Thomas, believe.
I'll stop you there. Stop it here for a second. You notice he's most animated, most articulate when he's talking about education, chemistry, his high school. He's 50 years ago. But what about the last 40 years?
Not is a member or was a member of the parish.
Okay.
I'm from Savannah, so there's just I'm not very devout or even religious, but I am a cultural Catholic.
Okay.
The one thing that kind of defines Catholicism for me is a little bit of somewhere between, well, there's some arrogance mixed with skepticism, mixed with very critical thinking.
Okay.
It's just hard to define, but
And so you notice there something, a belief that he holds near and dear to his heart is hard to define for him. He never mentioned the Bible, Christianity, any of those things as it relates to Catholicism. He mentioned arrogance, condescension. Interesting.
somewhere between just a kind of laissez-faire flippancy and oh shit, we gotta analyze the shit out of this problem.
So there is his description of Catholicism. Laissez-faire flippancy. And we have to analyze the hell out of a problem. Interesting.
It just depends on the day.
We have about 2 more questions for your professional career, and then we're going to move into personal. It's going to get not too personal. It's going to be personal and your personal lifestyle, basically questions. All right.
Okay.
Okay. You want to stop, grab something to drink? You need to take.
No, I'm good.
Okay. How's it going so far? Am I asking anything that's out of the ordinary? Is everything all right?
Well, no, nothing. I haven't been asked before.
Okay. Have you had any professional training at all? Like maybe take a course, maybe go for, I don't know, any type of certification?
Well, I mean, I went, the college degree, OCS was a school. Within the Navy, there's a surface warfare officers basic course, and then I've had engineering courses. After the Navy, I actually had a research assistantship to get a master's in public administration.
Mhm.
Took a couple classes, and I'm like, nope, I'm done with school. So,
So a deeper pursuit of chemistry was not for him. That's what he's saying here. That a deeper pursuit of chemistry was not necessarily his passion in that regard. So when it was time to pursue the master's degree, he kind of bounced out.
and then I had a kind of a course correction. After it was actually after I met my future wife. I just got
So now he skipped ahead 20 years, 20 of probably the most formative years in terms of forming a career. And he skipped ahead. He's now back to family life again.
tired of managing people, and
Right.
I did basically a mid-career thing where I got into IT. I was in distribution management, that sort of thing. Basically, I managed warehouses
Mhm.
and distribution centers,
Hmm.
and I just decided, you know what? I'm done with the $10 an hour associates and
Sure,
that sort of lifestyle. I
sure.
know
It
I
doesn't
can manage
cost-
myself.
Sure.
So, and I've always been good with computers and stuff. So that's what I did. I took basically a Windows boot camp.
I did the warehouse thing for 6 years.
Mhm.
Hated it.
Windows Boot Camp. I wonder when would that have been dated? That would have been oof. Windows Boot Camp. When would someone have taken it? Maybe in the early '90s, late '80s?
Oh, I
Absolutely.
loved it, dude. I
Yeah.
loved managing warehouses, and as a
Really?
matter of fact, if I knew then what I know now,
Yeah.
I would have. I could. You can mix warehouse and computers, designing warehouse management systems.
Right. When I was doing it, we were smoking back to back cigarettes, doing coke, putting stuff away.
Really?
Yeah, we were me and a couple other guys that would run the warehouse we would have like coked out Fridays basically. So it would be pay was Saturday. So we would get paid Saturday. Some of us would bring in some shit on a Friday because we might work from, let's say, 5 in the morning to about 7 at night. So it'd be a really long day. So for lunch, around 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, we'd do some coke. Maybe one of us would go, grab some beers, and we would just casually have some beers, smoke cigarettes, do some coke because it was a warehouse job. We were all gonna end up
Well,
dying.
when I say warehouse, I mean like million square foot distribution centers,
Yeah, no, we weren't that big. We had pause. We
like
had
import distribution centers, that sort of thing.
yeah,
Dollar
we had
Tree, Home Depot.
a giant distributor, like a Walmart distribution center type thing.
Yes, yeah.
We had like a 10,000 square foot
I'm adjusting this to 1.5 speed.
warehouse. So
No,
we were
this was there
yeah,
was automation. It was
yeah, we had
quite
none of that. Yeah, we
sophisticated.
had none. We were just like I said, we were smoking cigarettes while we were putting stuff away. We didn't care about shit. So, okay, this is the last professional question, and please, moderators, if you don't mind working for 10 seconds, put Stanley's. If I have to do it, I'm going to take everyone's wrench away. Um,
Oh my lord,
put
you're a
Stanley's.
taskmaster.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I run this channel like Hitler ran
Like a
Germany.
salt mine.
Yeah, I run this channel like Hitler ran Germany. Mods, do your job, please. Can you? I just ask you one thing. Put Stanley's channel in the chat. Thank you. We're coming to the last question for the professional questions. What do you know about um, any collaborators as far as in your industry? Now, I know you're retired, but let's go back to the Navy. What was the one thing they were pushing as maybe like an agenda, do you think? Were they pushing an agenda?
Well, funny enough, way back in the day, they got into total quality management and then dimming. This is way back in the early '90s, and
Hmm.
then probably the biggest, most interesting thing that happened. I don't know if you remember Tailhook.
Tailhook?
Uh, yes,
No.
Google it. It was like it was Me Too before Me Too, and
Okay.
the aviators, naval aviators, used to have this yearly convention in Las Vegas, and
Okay.
it they tail and hook. It was a thing, and
Okay.
somehow or another it went too far, and it blew the fuck up.
Hmm.
And I wasn't even an aviator. It affected the Navy greatly.
Okay.
So it changed the Navy, quite frankly.
Okay. Not
It,
here.
it, it it possibly changed all the armed services
Hmm.
because women very shortly after, like the I got out of the Navy in 1994. The
Hmm.
month I left my ship was the month females came on combatant ships. Tailhook changed.
So we have a point of reference here. 1994 is when he left the Navy. And from there to whenever he would have met his wife, 20 years later, give or take, really not much substance there. No accomplishments in the work environment or even in his personal, other than having a child at 41. Make of that what you will.
Definitely the Navy, if not the armed services in general.
So you missed out on potentially, let's just be frank here, fucking them on the ship, probably, maybe.
I was an officer. We don't do stuff
You
like
guys
that.
didn't do that. Okay. And that was just a little quick vulgar. Me personally, if I was in the Navy and there was women on my ship, listen, if I'm out there at sea, I'm going to need to get sucked off. I'm going to need some type of release, if you will. And here we go. And this is some of my favorite questions now. This is the personal and lifestyle questions. You ready?
Okay.
Okay. How would you, Stanley, I want to say thank you for joining this interview and everybody in the chat. I'm having a great time with this. Thank you, moderators, for having fun. Yeah, and we're getting people up out of here in the chat too. So be very careful. Have a lot of respect for Stanley and the channel and the moderators. All right, here we go. Stan, do you mind if I call you Stan?
Yeah, sure.
Do you prefer Stanley or Stan?
Stanley generally, but people
Okay.
call me Stan. You know,
I got
it doesn't really matter at this point.
Stanley, how would you describe yourself in 5 words? And it could be more than 5. How would you describe yourself? Somebody that doesn't know you. I'm coming to your channel. I want to subscribe. How would you just describe yourself?
Demanding. And know your argument and understand your own argument. As a matter of fact, that's it. Understand your own argument.
Mm-hmm. Understand your own
A lot of people talk in talking points they hear on Fox News or somewhere.
So here's the thing. He asked him for describe yourself. He said demanding. Okay, that's one. Know your own arguments. I don't know if that necessarily describes yourself. That's a condition to come up on your channel. But how would you describe yourself? Demanding. Okay, anything else? Charismatic, antisocial, a social butterfly. How would you describe yourself? Personable, friendly, not so friendly?
And they actually don't understand what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So
know your shit when they're dealing with
yes. And know your shit in detail.
you. Know your shit in detail. God damn it.
Now that's more of a requirement to come up on your panel. I'm demanding. That's a personality. That's how I would describe myself. So I need you to know what you're talking about. Okay. What else about you, other than you being demanding?
Okay. All right. So you want somebody to know what the fuck they're talking about. All right.
All the time. And not, people are human. I understand that.
Mm-hmm. What's your favorite time of the day?
Now, here's the thing. I don't expect my listeners or the people that come up on the panel to know everything and know everything that they're talking about. I expect, some disagreement. Maybe I learn something from them. They learn something from me. But if we both know everything, then what the hell do I need to come up on your panel for?
Favorite time of the day? Is it when you wake up? Do you hate that? Would you prefer lunch? Do you prefer, you know what? I'm going to bed. That's my favorite time of the day. What time of the day is your favorite? Stan?
I would say waking up early enough to read or something.
So morning.
I haven't used an alarm clock in decades. I don't wear a watch anymore. So I would say, over the years, it's consistently been waking up and reading an hour or two, listening to the radio. Because I used to be a big talk radio person. I'm a big, I was into podcasts and still am.
Really?
Or YouTube shows. Dude, I've been a radio head ever since I was in like 7th or 8th grade.
Okay. I used to watch, I used to listen to a show when I was younger, I guess, which it all makes sense now. It all comes full circle. There used to be Cross Country with George Norrie or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, before him, it was Art Bell.
Art Bell. Now that's the guy. And so now George Norrie.
He's the guy that George Norrie replaced.
Sure. So like conspiracies and late night.
Yes.
Type, like,
Art Bell, yeah.
Yeah.
Coast to Coast. It was Coast to Coast, something or another.
Yeah, that was on, I want to say maybe like AM, I don't know, 1200.
Yes. A lot of AM. Yep.
AM 1200 radio. And then I was smoking a lot of weed back then, which I shouldn't have.
And I'm sure Art Bell was too, out in the middle of the desert.
Oh yeah. I was getting extremely high, and I was a kid, and I was coast to coast AM. Yeah, absolutely. I was getting really high, and I would just sit there, and I would just listen to this guy talking about, and he would have the callers call in. And if you're not familiar with coast to coast AM radio, he would have people call in and just say, yeah, I was out, I was out fishing on a fishing boat, and I saw something cross the water, and I was just so high, I'd sit there and be like, yeah, man, holy shit, man. And just such a great, is he still alive, Stanley? George?
No, Art Bell died quite some time ago. But George Norrie took off. Oh.
So here's a perfect opportunity for Stanley to mention one of his favorite hobbies, fishing. 777 just mentioned, man, out on the fishing boat getting high. Stanley could say, oh, man, I got fishing stories to tell you, but no mention of fishing there.
For him. Now, I haven't listened to Coast to Coast in quite some time. I don't even know if George Norrie is still alive.
Probably dead. Yeah, probably dead.
He might be. He was fairly young.
We really don't know what all these people do here, and that's including the beautiful Here for the Tea that's in the building moderating. San Jose Speak is here. A lot HB's here. We don't know what we all do in our own personal lives. The next question is, Stanley, what do you do in your spare time that people don't
read these days? Read. I guess I'm on YouTube too much.
So read.
Books.
And there it is. What do you do in your spare time? Read. Read what? He didn't even mention read. What are you reading right now? Maybe he'll say it at some point. But what about fishing? He's tried to tell us that he's a avid fisherman. He loves to fish. In his spare time, he doesn't fish. I mentioned this to Be Brave. I said, man, I don't even believe he fishes like that because he's been on YouTube for 2 years now that I've been around him. And he hasn't shown one fish that he's caught. Not a fishing rod. Hasn't shown any kind of bait. No hooks. Nothing. But yet he's a fisherman. And I think it's just one of those things that maybe he's fished in the past. I've fished in the past. So I wouldn't consider myself a fisherman.
YouTube. Okay, so reading, right?
Oh, I'm a lifelong reader.
I think I know the answer to this next question already. What is your biggest pet peeve? I want to say when people don't pay attention, right?
No, actually noise. I am not like, even
Like construction noise or cars?
no, just noise in general. I mean, the older I've gotten, the more I like living out in, kind of more rural.
Country.
So, where I live,
Yeah.
there's almost never any traffic, and definitely not after the school buses drop the kids off.
You don't like that day-to-day hustle and bustle of a city.
No, I would, if I could help it up, and I pretty much can. No, there's no reason to live in a city anymore.
Right.
Not for me.
Right. I agree. What is the most you said you like to read. What's the most interesting book you've read recently? Or just
Right now, I'm reading something called White Freedom by
what is it called?
by a guy. Well, he's deceased now. He's a historian, Tyler Stovall.
Okay.
So, and as a matter of fact, it's kind of prep for tomorrow's show.
Okay.
That, along with Charles Mills, something called
White
The Racial Contract.
Now, White Freedom, this is a book, White Freedom, that's the first part of the title. The second title is The Racial History of an Idea. Here's a man that spends his time talking race. He's fighting a battle that has long been fought. But here's the conflict here. He married a white woman. But yet he's so hyper-focused on race. And I would say more specifically, he's hyper-focused on the white race. Though his son is half white. And that is what I see as part of the conflict. Empty blacks fill up their heads with animosity and hatred toward whites, even though they've assimilated into their society to the point of even marrying the women.
You said the book is called White Freedom?
White Freedom.
White Freedom.
Yes.
Okay. That's the book you're currently reading, or that's the one that's
Yes, by Tyler Stovall. It's essentially kind of there's something that a lot, and I don't want to get too deep into it because that's tomorrow's show.
Mhm.
But it's almost like I'm also reading John Stuart Mill's.
And so this book is putting forth the notion that America is a nation built on African slavery, Native American genocide, and systematic racial discrimination. That is the book that he's reading by Tyler Stovall. This is the hatred that the blacks, when they choose to read books, these are the kind of books they read. And how is this productive? It makes them angry, and that is the anger that he displays on his channel. An empty old man reading books about race and what is the title here? And it breeds resentment. It doesn't breed any kind of energy to make him want to go out and build something, create a better community. to even fight this racial systematic oppression. It just makes them angry, and they boil over here on the internet. Anyway, very interesting.
On Liberty. So it's kind of a threefer. It's
Okay.
basically about liberty, race, and the social contract. So
Okay.
it covers everything. It's a lot of enlightenment. John Locke, um, the social contract. I'm sure you've probably heard of, social contract as a concept. So essentially, I've talked a lot about the like whiteness in Western culture
Mm,
is the standard.
mm,
So it's
It is his standard for sure, because that's what he aspired to. Those are the women that he pursued, the woman that he had a baby by, the one that he married, the neighborhoods that he lived in most of his life.
basically about that.
okay. What is a cause that is important to you very dearly? What is something that hits home?
Parenting.
And one more point I want to make here. This book, this White Freedom book that he mentioned, I wonder, does he tell his son that his wife's family enslaved his family? Is that how we all got here? Is this the kind of animosity that he would instill in his son? Hey, son, America is a system of white oppression where your great-great-grandparents on your mama's side oppress my people. Is that the kind of message that he spreads to his son through the books that he reads?
Period. I think parenting is America's biggest flaw right now.
I agree.
We're bad parents.
Hey, and I will agree with Stanley there, because I remember Stanley coming on his son. He said,
But I don't know that I did that great a job. This motherfucker came home this summer, and dude, he was worse than when he was 5. This motherfucker would not clean up after himself.
and again, when he was 5, his mother was still alive. So after the mother passed away, the values that I guess that she had instilled in him up to age 5 all faded away. Those are the words of Stanley Cross there. And here he's talking about he worked to live, and he was all about parenthood and his child. The child got to 19 years old and regressed back to behavior pre his mother passing away.
I agree. I think even good parents sometimes can be bad parents just because they don't think, hey, am I right? Or do I just feel like I'm right? Or am I really,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Am I really doing what's best for this child? Or is it just, well, I feel
Absolutely.
a lot of parents do what's best for them and not for the
Well, a
child,
lot of people don't realize once you have kids, it's no longer about you.
right?
It's about the
Yeah.
kid.
If you got young women, 18, 19, having kids thinking,
I wonder if he, a man that speaks this way, if he would like his son seeing him on stream, cursing, yelling, screaming. And I wonder if his life outside of YouTube reflects this man, this erudite man of distinction here. Or when his son comes home, he sees his dad sitting on the edge of the bed, yapping into YouTube with 9 or 10 people watching. They just say, damn, why doesn't my dad go do like all these titans who send their children to Georgia Tech? Why is my dad sitting here on the edge of the bed when my girlfriend's dads and mothers and uncles are running businesses or working high-powered jobs? Here's Stanley, an able-bodied man with no interest, nothing cultivated during his 20s, 30s, 40s, no interest, 50s. He's talked about fishing, not one mention of fishing in this entire interview. This is what I keep harping on when I say there are so many empty black men in the Black American community. They can tell you all about books of other people that they've read, and at best, all it does is instill hatred and animosity toward white people. And you're hearing it on full display.
shit, I can go out Friday, Saturday night, and that's your Friday, Saturday nights are gone.
Well, I mean, why would you need them? You have
I mean, they're
kids.
gone. Yeah, Friday,
There are
Saturday.
things you can do with your kids.
mean, if you're, let's say, a new parent, you know, she's 19, she's 20, she wants to go have a kid because it looks cool on TV, right? All the other girls are doing that at school. And next thing you know, your Fridays and Saturdays are fucking gone because you got to wipe an ass.
Well, it's weird and it's hard for me to think of because honestly, I was 41 when my
Mhm.
son was born, and what else would I be doing?
Right.
I think, maybe people have kids too young, but I know a buddy of mine and his wife, they got married at 19 and they couldn't be happier. Um, so again, but to me, it just goes back to the parenting. Um, you know, like if my son came home tomorrow and said, "Hey, I got my girlfriend pregnant," well, I'm like, "Well, you just given up a bunch of fucking freedom."
Yeah.
Um, and I'm not babysitting.
Yeah. But little do they know it's not as easy as they think on, watching it.
You know, I wonder would he get up to go to work to help financially support his son if his son came home with a baby? What would he do? What is he capable of doing? If push came to shove and he had to get up and go to work, with what he's described of himself thus far, what could he do in corporate America? How much money could he make? How many of you that are aware of Stanley would want to work with someone like him? These are the questions that I keep pointing out that are the big problems in the black community, from Leonard Roy to Stanley to Nightish. Very empty men who are much more prone to argue up on YouTube than create or collaborate to do anything.
On TV, it looks easy.
Right.
What would you like to be remembered for in the days of your last days when they come up to your casket, they look at you, or you're in the hospital bed? What would you like people to look, down at and see Stanley and remember him for?
Stanley telling you, "Don't worry about me. Surely you can do better. Don't waste your time."
That's very empty. I want people to remember that dead man that rented the room from me. All the other people that told me, thank you, Mr. John, for renting rooms for me. I'd also want the people that I had to put out to remember my face and name, to know I ain't take any shit off them either. And I want my children to, be able to hear some of the messages that people have said about me, be brave.
And that's why I call you one of the holy men, John. If you heard me give you credit for being one of the holy men, here's what these holy men
what
do.
People will say about
they give it to black culture like it needs to be given with both fucking
barrels. That's what
barrels.
people will say about John Galt. And with Stanley, he said, well, the people just say, well, hey, don't worry about me.
So basically, you're very selfless. You don't want people.
Don't come to my funeral. Why aren't you out living your life?
Go live your life.
Don't come to my funeral. This is the only time he doesn't want to be first person because he can't combat you from the grave. He can't get up and argue with you. So he said, don't even come. Because at that point, that is the one point when you can be around me and speak the truth. Where you can really be honest about Stanley Cross and he doesn't shout you down. So he doesn't want a funeral. It's not him being selfless. It's more about him not wanting the truth spoken about him.
Right. That's really amazing.
I mean, I'm not particularly famous. It'll be closed casket. Well, it won't be a casket because my fate is sealed. I used to want a burial at sea, but that's not going to happen now.
How do you deal with pressure?
How does pressure deal with me?
And there he goes again. The mindset of a 60-year-old narcissistic, empty black man.
Good answer. Who is your biggest inspiration?
I just, it's hard for me to answer that. I just deal with it. I think the best thing is it will end. Always keep that in mind. There is always light at the end of the tunnel. Just deal with it. At some point it will be over and everything will be fine.
Well, who is your biggest inspiration in life?
My parents.
Okay.
And I literally have said many times on my show and other shows, I don't have heroes. If I did, it would be Frederick Douglass, but I have a father and a mother. Well, my mother's deceased, but I had great parents.
Mm-hmm.
So no need of heroes.
Right. I think that's a lot of.
And great parents have created a very empty man here, so I guess it would have to be on him.
that's a big problem with society. Is the parents? They had either poor parents,
parenting.
very bad parents. When I say poor, I mean poor like in their reasoning and their judgment and their parenting, not actually.
Well, in their motivations,
What's that?
in their motivations.
Right.
I'm, I think I don't know if it's very Catholic, but when I was a kid, kids just came first. I mean, even if kids come first, they do go to bed. You can have your time once you've given them a bath and tucked them in.
Right.
There's your time. It might just be an hour or two, but kids come first. Period.
It almost sounds like a woman to me. This is how I would love my women to talk.
Every time, all the time.
And we
Now there can be exceptions, but they should be rare.
Absolutely. We're coming down to our last about 7 or 8 questions. Is there anything you'd like to ask me mid-interview during this interview? Anything at all?
No, not yet.
Okay.
You'll have your questions.
Those of you who don't know, I've agreed to do an interview on Stanley's channel, maybe next week, whenever he has time. We're going to set it up.
Yeah, I always have time. Just
Yeah.
tell me when you're available. I can plan around your schedule. You're
I-
busier.
No, I don't do anything with my life. I have nothing but time next week, any day that works for you.
Okay.
And I'm there. Here we go.
Well, maybe what would be fun is we can mix an interview with just fucking reading news articles and talking about what's going on with the news.
Sure, I can do that. Any type of show you want.
Talking about what's going on in the news again. Everything's external. He's externally guided. The news of the day moves him. I rarely ever cover the news of the day. It has no effect on my life, more or less. And so he has to say, hey, why don't we just chat it up, bro? He can't do that. He's not an interesting man. He's even said, the John Galt is a much more interesting man than me. I'm not as interesting and entertaining as John Galt. And I think that is what pains him and why he stalks me around the internet and why he has such animosity toward me.
On, obviously I'm going to keep my pants on though, Stan. But I'll do.
Well, you know what? As long as you don't cam up, we'll never know.
I'll do. Like right now I'm in a bathrobe, so who cares? But,
Are you? You're not flashing anything, are you?
Don't get too horny now, Stan. Here we go.
Well,
So-
I'm looking at HB2N going pause.
Yeah.
The question, the comment was really for HB2N.
So here we go, sir. So we got about 7 more questions left. Thank you to everybody in the chat that had just an excellent time here. This is like interviewing a Hollywood superstar, and I'm so glad that he agreed to do this. And I think it went pretty well. Maybe
You're treating me too good.
Maybe people go, "Oh, this interview. Oh, what's he gonna say? Is he gonna ask some crazy shit, man?" No, because we're adults here. So here we go. Do you speak any other languages?
Years ago, I had a thing for languages, believe it or not. First day of the first class of my first day in high school was Latin with Father Anthony. And I've had a passion for languages. To be honest, I considered romance, comparative lit, or romance languages as.
He asked him, do you speak any other languages? He went back to high school. He still has not said yes or no yet. So I'm guessing the answer must be no. He may surprise me here.
Major. And if I had my heart of hearts, I would literally be a classics professor. Greek and Latin, and then other languages. Excuse me.
So that was his desire, to be a classics professor. His heart of heart lied with being a classics professor. He didn't accomplish that. That's probably why he's angry. He still has not answered the question, can you speak another language?
I love Latin. Loved it.
Okay. How about what's your favorite movie? This is one of my favorite questions.
This is really amazing here that 777 let him get away without answering the question. I want to make sure that I didn't miss it.
I would literally be a classics professor. Which is, believe it or not. First day of the first class of my first day in high school was Latin with Father Anthony.
So we're going to go back a little bit more.
The question, the comment was really for HB2N.
So here we go, sir. So we got about 7 more questions left. Thank you to everybody in the chat that had just an excellent time here. This is like interviewing a Hollywood superstar, and I'm so glad that he agreed to do this. And I think it went pretty well. Maybe
You're treating me too good.
Maybe people go, "Oh, this interview. Oh, what's he gonna say? Is he gonna ask some crazy shit, man?" No, because we're adults here. Okay, so here we go. Do you speak any other languages?
Years ago, I was.
So years ago, back in high school, he spoke another language. He didn't cultivate it. He didn't expound on it. He didn't practice it. He didn't go to Spain or France to further cultivate the language. He dropped it at high school. He had no interest, no passions about anything, fishing, languages. The books he read are mostly just racial books. No foreign languages. A man who talks about being erudite and so intelligent. He speaks one language just like JP. Empty man.
I had a thing for languages, believe it or not. First day of the first.
He didn't even mention the language. He mentioned Latin, but I doubt he learned Latin. He didn't mention Spanish or French in his answer.
Class of my first day in high school was Latin with Father Anthony. And I've had a passion for languages. To be honest, I considered romance, comparative lit, or romance languages as a major.
Mm.
And if I had my heart of hearts, I would literally be a classics professor. Greek and Latin, and then other languages. Excuse me. I love Latin. Loved it.
Okay.
But he never learned it. Never cultivated. Never had a desire to go somewhere and immerse himself in it. Didn't do it. Empty man.
What's your favorite movie? This is one of my favorite questions to ask. I'm trying to figure out where you're at here with movies. Try not to pick a movie that nobody knows what the fuck you're talking about, Stan.
I literally haven't watched a movie since Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse. I'm not a movie person. If I had to pick one off the top of my head, it would be Apocalypse Now.
Okay.
And I'm sure if I thought about it, I'd come up with other movies. But Apocalypse Now, it's top of mind.
All right. So let's say you're going to sit back and watch a movie with a woman. You're going to pick Apocalypse Now.
No. Well, you asked what my favorite movie was. Now you want to know.
Let's watch a movie.
To be honest, if I were going out on a date, I'm not sure I'd even pick a movie.
Okay.
Trying to think.
You're getting straight to the fucking.
My wife and I rarely went to movies, and it was usually some cartoon.
Okay.
Has he been on a date since his wife died? How about the dates before his wife? Empty man. I used to take women to speakeasies, fancy restaurants. I can name some of them. I've shown them all on the stream. Delano was one of my favorite. Deaf & Co. I've taken several women there. He had nothing.
Movies just to me just aren't that fun. I don't know why, they just aren't. Now maybe a drive-in movie, something really novel like that.
Okay.
That would be fun.
All right. Maybe smoke a J in the car real quick. Maybe.
Dude, I haven't smoked a J in probably 40 years.
I feel like maybe you need a nice joint, maybe just to maybe hit once or twice before you go to bed.
I've survived this long.
Okay. All right. It's not for everybody. What is your favorite place to eat? Like
home.
Okay.
My dining room table.
Okay. Yeah, that's I respect that. I can see you with a cup of coffee there. A nice piece of toast.
No, I'm ever since I was maybe 25, I'm actually a fairly decent home cook. I mean,
he hasn't shown us one thing that he's cooked. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, are these people even real online? He's a cook. He's a fisherman. He loves languages. He doesn't speak any. He hasn't shown me any fish. He hasn't shown me a fish that he caught and cooked. But these are his passions. This is why he runs around chasing me. Chasing me is his passion. That's what it is. Because deep down in his heart, deep down, he knows.
Oh, it is my crush.
Deep down in his heart, he knows that he doesn't have much of a lived life. He's an empty man. And I think this interview really highlights it. A 60-year-old man that just has nothing much to offer.
Bread.
You make your own bread. I think I heard you say that. You make your own bread, right?
Hot dog buns, tortillas. Awesome. Yeah, I pretty much make it all. It started out as a...
He streamed on my channel for 2 years. And I said, Santa, why do you keep showing other people's videos? Why don't you show some, you talk about fishing show. You say you make cornbread. You could have done a stream about cornbread instead of getting copyright showing Pop the Balloon. No imagination. It's lazy. The other day I showed his YouTube channel and he still has my email address and phone number on his domain. Just lazy. That's what these people are, very lazy. And I think we're really seeing it in spades here. And empty and lazy.
Project that me and my son could do.
Okay,
And,
I think I remember you saying
I've been
this.
doing it for 10 years now.
Okay, you're a big fan. See, I've never attempted to make bread. That's something I just don't touch that. Is it easy?
It's actually easy.
You got
You know,
the
once you get the hang of it.
yeast, right? You get the yeast going.
Oh yeah, instant yeast rather than the yeast you have to bloom. You have a choice there.
Okay.
I literally like biscuits or something like that. I can literally. Funny enough, making bread is easier than tortillas.
Mhm.
Once you get good at it, the process is pretty quick.
Okay. What where would you like to travel if you can just pick up right now and you can just go anywhere in the world? Where would you like to go?
It would either be, and it's assuming there's no danger involved. I went to Haifa. I was in the Navy. Fucking loved it.
Where is that?
And there and again, I've traveled large parts of the world. He's traveling only by way of Navy. No personal experiences where he was interested in going somewhere and spend his own hard-earned money to do it. His passport was only stamped while traveling with the Navy. And that's what he's going to explain to you. A man that loves Greek and Latin never went to Greece, never went to Latin America, never went to Spain, Barcelona, nowhere to pursue his love of the classics. Never went.
In Israel, in Cuba,
Okay.
Havana would be the other.
Havana, Cuba.
And how far is Havana from Georgia? Never went. Probably never even inquired about what a ticket would cost. He has no interest in that. He may want to read books about Cuba, Israel, get up on the internet and talk like he's very intelligent. But if there was really an interest there, he'd go to these places. That's what I did.
Like to go to right now.
Yeah.
I would like to go to Cuba also.
He's 60 years old with plenty of time, probably not a lot of money, but he has time. Why doesn't he go to these places? He's empty. These are just random thoughts in his head. He's probably read about them in a book and said, oh, yeah, that sounds interesting. I went there when I was in the Navy. Why didn't you ever go back? None of these places you saw in the Navy struck your fancy, tickled your fancy. Say, I want to go back there when I get out of the Navy so I can have a good time. The women were pretty. The food was good. The weather was nice. It was nothing. That's what I'm saying. Empty old men. I remember Sin 7 asking Nightish. I'll never forget it like yesterday because that's what started me down this journey. She said, Nightish, why do you keep playing other people's videos? He said, I don't have any other ideas. I'm out of ideas. The man may have 20 more years to live. He's 50-something. He may live to 75, and his mind is done working. His life is done living. He's living now vicariously through other people by playing their videos instead of creating memories and content of his own.
But I'm not actually going. Havana would be where I landed and might spend a day or two, but I'd hit the hinterlands.
My mouth
I
waters.
like seeing where the actual natives live.
Why not go to the hinterlands? That's what you like seeing. Why not go?
What is that, Sam?
I like going out where the actual natives live.
Oh, okay.
Havana's a city. I want to see
You want to go
where they live out in the hinterlands,
You want to go inside,
or how they live in the hinterlands.
like the huts, like the little mud huts.
I don't know about all that.
All right.
I'm sure they don't all live in huts.
Okay.
I'm hoping they live in cabanas or quaint little sea shacks.
At the Cabana, Copacabana.
Exactly. They all play Barry Manilow.
Copacabana. What is your favorite holiday, Stanley? That's what we all need to know. This. What is your favorite holiday?
If I have one, and I don't particularly, it would be Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, because you can get the greens, you get the smoked turkey, or no?
I'd like to cook, and
We just had this conversation. You don't do the mac and cheese. You do the greens. You want the
No, I like macaroni and cheese. It's just,
Good
kind of
thing.
cliche. In a way, it's kind of cliche.
Okay.
But no, Thanksgiving, it's kind of a
Apple
cooking
pies, the
holiday.
nice apple pie stand or no?
I'm sorry, what?
You like the nice apple pie, maybe a la mode with a little vanilla ice cream on top of
No,
that?
you know what? I'm not a dessert guy.
Not a dessert.
However, funny enough, I can make an apple pie from scratch, including, cutting up in pieces. It's really it's chemistry. It's kitchen
Looking
arts.
up, yeah,
Kind
in the
of a
kitchen with-
chemistry exercise.
Okay.
Chemistry. I can go back through his entire catalog. He probably hasn't talked 5 minutes about chemistry on the entire stream. I've talked more about chemistry than Stanley has. I was a biology major. He didn't talk about chemistry on this channel. I've talked more about biology, and I didn't even practice biology. I didn't go even pursue a master's in biology. He pursued a master's in chemistry, but can't talk any chemistry on the channel. He can't make it interesting. He's just not an interesting man. But, with me, Stanley says this. And Stanley says, John,
My crush. I have
and what is he, where does he say? He said, John is it here?
not as entertaining as you were, John.
That's right. That's right. He said, I'm just not as entertaining as you. And I think part of being entertaining is having lived an interesting life. And what we've heard here is a very boring, empty life. How can you be entertaining when there's nothing there? There's no there. He loves the languages, but he can't mix in any languages on the show. A little Spanish flair, speak a little Greek. But John, I come up here in English, raw, uncut, don't have to pull up any strings of anyone else. I'm just explaining to you the way the world works.
Not as entertaining as you were, John.
Yeah, that's correct. And because he's empty. I've had 3 different careers: finance, software, real estate. I've traveled places on my own volition. He's never done those things. He's not a very interesting man. And as he says,
Not as entertaining as you were, John.
that's correct as well. And that is the problem there that we're seeing.
Literally make it from scratch. My
See, a lot
son
of-
can too, oddly enough.
A lot of
Believe it
people
or not, my son is actually really good at cooking.
culinary. Okay.
But who would eat his son's food
But
when?
I don't know that I did that great a job. This motherfucker came home this summer, and dude, he was worse than when he was 5.
Yeah, worse than when
This
he was
motherfucker
5.
would not clean up after himself.
Would not clean up after himself. He reverted back to 5 years old. So whatever Stanley taught him from 8 to 19 didn't stick, because there was nothing there to reaffirm it. There was no evidence, no, there was nothing behind it but books that other people wrote. Stanley didn't have anything to show his son other than books. That's why today he spends his day reading books. Empty man.
It's chemistry. It's kitchen
Looking
arts.
up, yeah.
Kind
In the
of a
kitchen with-
chemistry exercise.
Okay. All right, here we go. Let's get down to, we got about 4 more questions left. What's a message you'd like to give to your fans? Because believe it or not, Stanley doesn't realize people on YouTube are your fans. And I mean big time.
Really?
Yeah.
Even he doesn't believe
It's
it.
hard to believe.
Even he doesn't believe that.
Do better.
That's correct. If you are a fan of Stanley Cross's, he said, do better.
So
Pick better people to be fans of.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree with
But
that.
no, I think actually y'all pay attention to politics and voting is important.
mhm.
That's
Okay.
actually the message.
Again, this is all outside of him. These are external factors. Politics, voting, things that they have no impact or control over. That's what he had to offer to the young people. To the people that listen to him, voting is important. They've been hearing that all their life, and they have not seen much of an impact from that. 60-year-old empty man.
Your message: voting is important. All right. What makes you
Well,
smile?
no, pay attention to politics.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff happens and you really need to be aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
Just read a newspaper or something.
What makes you smile? There's a song by Tony Bennett called "Smile." I want everybody to listen to that at some point tonight. By Tony Bennett, and it's called "Smile." What makes you smile, Stanley?
Let's see. There's so many different types of smiles. Sometimes there are things that make me smile like a Grinch. One
What makes you smile? And the first thing he comes up with a condescending Grinch smile. Who would want to be around someone like that? A man that can't find much happiness. Been alone since he was 49 years old, no woman, probably not many friends. He leans on the YouTube world for friends. And even there, he can't even offer much advice that would bring other people that are smart around him. He ends up speaking to the dumb speak radios of the world.
liners,
Mm-hmm.
like a really clever one-liner.
Mm-hmm.
And one liner makes you laugh. It elicits a funnier emotion out of you. What makes you smile? When you see a pretty woman, when you see your children, you smile and hey, glad to see you. Hey, look at my children. He's an empty man.
Well, I got something for
But
you. I got something for you. So how about this? I got a joke for you. All right, we'll see if it makes you smile or not. Probably not. I have the worst jokes. Get ready. So everybody in the chat, let's just give you a little joke here. Break up the monotony of the interview, guys. So I forgot the joke. Hang on, give me a second. So how does a hot dog stay safe?
a hot dog, what?
How does a hot dog stay safe? Condiments.
Oh my.
Hey,
Yeah,
there we
that's
go.
pretty good.
It's not bad, right? Somebody told me that this morning.
Was it a kid?
It was a woman. Yeah, it was an older woman. Actually, it was very strange.
Oh, that's funny.
I thought it was funny though. I thought it was a great joke. What scares you the most, Stanley? Some people have fear of that.
Stupidity.
Stupidity really, really.
So stupidity of others or stupidity within yourself? How does other stupidity scare you? You have a YouTube panel. Why did you try to inform them?
bothers you, scares you.
No, it scares me. Do you know how much destructiveness? Um, have you ever read a book called The Five Laws of Stupidity?
No, but I probably
It's actually a little short.
I wonder this black stupidity, is that what he's speaking of? Or does he have to act like he doesn't recognize black stupidity? I wonder.
But no, it's so what actually scares me is people in positions of power, like actual positions of power, who are incompetent.
incompetent leadership.
I've seen it, and
Again, this is all external. External factors scaring a 60-year-old man. I don't even think about these external things. I only focus on what I can control. What I can't control does not scare me.
it can be, it can be destructive.
What is we got two more questions. How do you unwind after a long day? What's your go-to?
Uh,
You need to understand. You need
these
to
days,
yeah,
back in the day,
yeah.
uh, I don't know, way back in the day, when my wife was around,
Mhm,
and I commuted in and out to work.
mhm,
I probably just go down to the basement.
And again, we're going back 20 years, 19 years when his wife was around. Nothing in the last 19 years can he point to. Again, I keep saying the term empty man. Empty man. I've long suggested that he would be doing his son a favor by getting out, going to work. Fill his time with something productive to do, because once his son leaves college, we see the cost of living here in America. Why not put your son in the best position to thrive? Have a lump sum of money that you've made in your retired years. You're able-bodied. Clearly, you have this attention to detail and hating stupidity. You would be the perfect worker, not manager, not leader, but you'd be a very good worker. Presumably, something give you a little autonomy where you don't have to cooperate with others. But here he is pursuing a YouTube career, spending so much time on YouTube when he openly admits, well, he's not very entertaining. And that's what most people are seeking on the internet. They want someone that is entertaining. That's what
Not
they want.
as entertaining as you were, John.
Yeah, that's right.
And uh-oh,
Say it
not
again.
as entertaining
That's
as you were.
correct. He's not as entertaining. He's not interesting either. And he's very shallow and empty man.
Pop a few beers. A lot of times I had this propane ring, like a cooker thing.
hmm
I just fucking go down and drink beer and like fried
Sure.
chicken livers or something.
I've never heard him talk about doing that. Hey guys, I was cranked up the propane and fried up some chicken livers and drank some beer. He gets on this stream. If he did those things, he might be a little happier online. Never heard him talk about it. Never seen a picture, not one image. He never thought, hey, I'm gonna take a picture of this and show it to the guys on the stream. I'm giving you some ideas, empty man. But he gets up here and plays YouTube clips of other people's ideas, other people's content. He has no thoughts of his own.
Sure.
If I didn't want what my wife cooked, and
Right.
sometimes
19 years ago, my wife. This man has lived an empty life. The better part, almost a quarter of his life. The last 20 years has been empty. He married her at 40. There wasn't much going on then. She died shortly thereafter. And for the last, 11 years? 19 years or whatever? Empty man.
having a young child, she would cook, what I used to call kid food,
Kid
and I
meals. Yeah.
just wanted something a little bit more complicated, or more, not, fish sticks. Nah, I don't want fish sticks.
I don't want this kid
Stuff
shit.
like that.
Yeah, I get it. I don't want this
Um,
kid shit tonight.
but it was it.
Yeah, I had a lady I dated. She called into my stream. I ain't seen her. She called into my stream last week. I ain't seen her in 10, 15 years. Why don't there's no woman in Stanley's life that could call in? He can't talk about any woman. Hey, I was at least interested. I went out on a date with her. I saw a pretty woman at the post office. Nothing. Empty man. He sits up here talking in front of 9 people, playing other people's content because he is so empty himself.
I lived up on a mountain back then, and
Mountain Man. All right.
yeah, Northern Virginia, up in the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Okay. Wow. Beautiful place. Um,
Oh, I loved it.
what is so? When these people come into a chat and they engage with you in a conversation, they don't know, they don't care, they don't know who you are. What is Stanley's favorite go-to clothes?
Phone call. Good.
Like you're leaving the house. Obviously,
Clothes?
clothes. What are you throwing on? What's your everyday? Are you throwing on a pair of sweats? Are you throwing on a pair of jeans?
No, it's usually just a pair of khakis and kind of a polo type shirt.
Khakis
In the
and
winter, it'll be maybe khakis and a flannel shirt.
right. That concludes our interview.
And there is that. And there is a man that's clearly not that engaging, not that entertaining, and somewhat empty. And when you look all throughout the Black America, and if Leonard Roy and Nightdish and Stanley are a representative sample of what we see in Black America, you can see why there's so many problems. The lack of leadership, the empty men leading the empty youth. And all they can do is get up and display anger and the inability to. What the hell is it?
I just put up in that motherfucking.
Jesus Christ. What the hell? What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Anyway, a very interesting turn of events there. Interview with 777 and Stanley Cross. Thank you again for joining.